Welcome back to Talk Murder Me. This is going to be the second episode of Dr. Satan. We're going to talk about the for-profit Holocaust.
Ooh.
It's kind of fucked up.
It is.
I think the Holocaust itself was also like a for-profit technically endeavor. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh shit, we didn't get extra ice. Damn, my ice is all fucking melted.
Well,
all right, so if you're new here, I don't know why you're listening to this one. This is part 2 of the Marcel Petiot case, a French serial killer, very ruthless.
How many victims did he have?
No one knows. So he was tried for 27 and convicted of 27, but then when he was convicted of 27, he threw a hissy fit and said, no, it was at least 63.
Boy.
Kind of a weird number.
probably more than that based on what they found in his apartment, though.
Right.
Yeah.
They find at least 30 pairs of women's shoes?
Yeah, and
Right.
he's killed kids too, if you see that woman at the bottom.
Terrible.
All right, so the crimes we're going to be discussing for this episode occurred exclusively between February 1942 and March 1944. If you're a Jew in France during those 2 years, then you are living your life in danger. I'm saying that right now. So I put in my notes, what type of person did not want to stay in France at this time? And most of the people up here, you can tell are Jewish, right? Some of them.
They typically have darker hair and darker eyes.
Well, there were French Jews too.
Well, yeah. But I mean, as far as like the characteristics that you think of when you think of what Hitler deemed as the Aryan race was light hair, light eyes, and they specifically were looking for Jewish people, and they looked at those features.
Well, so Hitler, I mean, he was just doing that because the reptilians.
Are we going into that?
No, we're not. All right, so the crimes I'm going to be discussing, part 2, these are the fucked up crimes between February 1942 and March 1944. Mostly Jewish, although he would claim that he's killed a couple Gestapo. As you'll see, this guy is an equal opportunity killer. He doesn't give a shit. As long as he can get paid, he'll kill anyone.
He's a greed killer.
Greed killer. So at the time the Gestapo was running through France, they were looking for these rat lines, these escape networks, and they wanted to find a type of person, and that person was mainly the Jew, right? From Hitler's decree that they're subservient and, you know, need to be extinguished. There were a lot of these underground escape networks, and a lot of these people did it not for profit, but I put in my notes, what's that called? Human compassion? Well, the reason Marcel Petiot did it was for other reasons. He actually had one of the largest underground escape networks in France at the time. The one that...
Actually?
Yeah, actually. The one that the Gestapo spent years looking for was his network. But the only problem is he wasn't actually helping them escape. He was just cutting them up.
Okay, so not actually.
So he was not.
But it was a rumor.
But
he was like, holy shit, these people are actually disappearing. There must, right? Am I getting that?
Huh?
Am I getting that right? The Gestapo was like, holy shit, all these Jews are actually disappearing. They must be escaping from this guy's network.
Yeah. So that's the point.
And they were just being murdered.
So he was not the Harriet Tubman of
He portrayed, which is
of
worse.
the World War II.
He was portraying himself out to be this like savior of Jews trying to flee, and then leader of the resistance, and he didn't give a shit at all. In fact, he was just as bad as the Nazis, right?
I would say so.
Yeah, but he didn't have the hatred though. He just did it for own personal gains.
It doesn't matter. I mean, he was so methodical murderer.
So
because he killed Frenchmen, he killed Gestapo,
And he also it was a lie. He portrayed himself out to be hope for someone who in desperation knew that they otherwise would probably die.
At this point, this is a hard subject. Yeah, you're right. He did.
He was just as bad as a Nazi. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I would agree with that.
But he only helped Jews across.
I don't know why I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. He's as bad as a Nazi.
He would only help Jews escape. I mean, I know he didn't actually help them escape, but he would only take the clients that were ultra wealthy.
Well, that's even worse.
Because he was just trying to con them into getting their money and then murdering
Which
them.
is why, go back to the 21, what is it? Rue Le Sueur.
Rue Le Sueur.
Rue Le Sueur. That was a mansion. The reason this is the guy, right? I mean, he could have put his operation, his cut up operation out in the country where no one would smell the smoke, but he was just such a shitty person. He put it in the streets of Paris. He put it in that mansion. So all the wealthy Jews would go to that mansion and they would automatically be like, oh, this guy is legit.
He was a serial killer, but he wasn't racist. He was an equal opportunity.
I was just going to say that. Equal opportunity murderer.
Sydney just said that.
Unfortunately, he did target Jews who were trying to escape. Like, that was the easy target.
It doesn't.
That was an easy target for him to have a kill with money.
Well, that almost makes it worse than the Holocaust. I mean,
they did the same thing.
The Nazis.
They took out their gold teeth and they took their shoes and
But he didn't do it necessarily for hatred of the Jews. He did it
just to get their
profit.
So which is worse?
Doesn't matter.
The hatred of the Jews
I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter. At this point, he's still murdering people.
So with this episode, I'm going to ask a lot of times, which is worse? I think that's the fucking...
I don't know if
there is no worse in this one.
There's a lot of things he does that is like, wow, what the fuck?
That's why he's called Dr. Satan.
Well, I don't know because like he was targeting it might be worse for him only because he was targeting Jewish people under the guise of being able to help them and then murdering them for profit instead of and I am not
but is that worse than Hitler's hatred killing Jews?
I want to make it clear that it's not a good thing that the Nazis were targeting Jewish people because they despised Jewish people and were executing them. That is not a good thing and is not better than what this man was doing. But I think it is worse, a worse practice to offer false hope, knowing that not even like offering false hope in the sense that you may be able to get out.
The concentration camps offered false hope. Let's everyone get on a train. I'm going to take you to, whatever. That's false hope. Yeah, let's go take a shower, and it's really a gas chamber. That's bad.
It's all bad. It's all bad.
I know.
It's evil.
Okay, all right.
But this guy was saying, I'm going to help you avoid all of that. Yeah. And knowing what those consequences were, and it's like, I'm going to help you avoid all of that, and then killed them on top of that.
But he wasn't just killing Jews. That's the thing. He would kill anyone.
Not just Jews were trying to escape Nazis. Yeah. Like other people were trying to escape Nazis.
And the fact that he fought in the war against the Germans.
Exactly.
It's like he didn't have any like national pride or any sense of human dignity. He just likes money. From what I found.
Well, I would say that makes it worse.
Likes money.
I would say that makes it worse because as a Nazi.
As a Nazi, what?
Well, let me finish what I was saying. And like I said, I am not saying that Nazis are good.
Well,
I am not saying that.
I hope not.
I know, but I just want to clarify that I am not saying that. I'm not saying that the Nazi cause was a good thing. I'm saying it is a bad thing. But however, as like some of the Nazis, and I'm not defending them, but I'm saying some people that were under the Nazi regime may have been forced into that in fear of their own lives.
Oh, that is such a bullshit claim.
This man fought against the war, but then also sought these people out, knowing that they were.
That's what they all said that during the Nuremberg trials. Oh, if I didn't kill these Jews, then I would have been killed. That's a bullshit excuse.
I didn't say that what they were doing was right,
but they all said that. They all said that. I mean, it's cultural. At the time, Germany itself thought that they were a superior race. They were all brainwashed by this madman.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So, I don't fucking know.
It's just evil.
I'm saying is, I mean,
But yeah. Anyway,
we're saying the same thing. It's not good. It's not.
Well, all right, you don't read this.
The French police gradually became aware that there was a murderer at large. Body parts washed up in the Seine, some dismembered by sharp knives, others chewed, loosed by catfish in the canals. The waters were trawled, and more pieces were discovered. The majority of these bodies would never be identified. Among the pieces were 9 decapitated heads of unknown origin, 4 thighs, and sundry other parts too.
Ooh.
So, when we started the first episode, we started at the mansion. And the pieces that wouldn't fit into the stove ovens, remember their ovens were going all day long for months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just burn all those bodies after you cut them up. Some of them you gotta take over the leftovers out, you know, and you throw them in the river. And that's where all these pieces and 9 decapitated heads would, you know, float up.
Was it only the 9 heads, or would he try to get rid of the heads generally?
Huh?
Like, would he try to burn the heads, or would he just?
He would just put whatever he can fit in that oven. He is just fucking straight up doing this shit for money. This is 48 suitcases they found, all full, and this is how they knew that he was killing Jews. Because I mean, think about it: your family heirlooms and your jewelry and stuff like that. You can tell if it's a Jewish descent, you know. And a lot of the victims they ended up claiming. Now, why wouldn't the victim's family, especially a wealthy Jewish family, go to the police at this time and say, you know, where my husband disappeared, or, you know, where is he? Can you look into this?
Well, because they were Jewish and they're in the middle of the war.
Well, and they thought that, well, I'm not hearing from them because they haven't contacted me from America yet. The families thought that
They made it.
They made it. I mean, there were a lot of these underground lines. This guy was the most infamous for being the most trusted, which is kind of ironic.
Because he supposedly got so many people out.
Because he was wealthy.
But it takes a lot of time and energy to actually get those people out. It's a lot easier just to cut them up.
Let's be clear, he didn't get anybody fucking out.
I know. I'm not arguing that.
I just want to make sure that everyone's clear. Like, the infamy is not real.
I know, but they think,
But
oh
they
my
didn't
God, this
know
guy
that at the time.
This guy's running a high efficient operation. He's got so many Jews out.
Oh my God, that just makes me
Because,
sick.
yeah. No, it does. It's gross.
It's disgusting, honestly.
Oh, what the fuck, man?
What, can I not say that he is disgusting?
All right, I got to go through this background because that's what true crime podcasters do. And I am just like everyone else. All right.
No, you're not. You are a unique individual.
Born January 17th, 1987, this beautiful man with his piercing black eyes was born in Ogre. And I've never been to Paris, never been to France. Been to Italy once, hated it.
What?
Got
Really?
slapped, actually.
You hated Italy?
Yeah.
You would get slapped in Italy.
Yeah.
But you didn't like the food?
I couldn't tell what the woman said, but she used the word American in there.
Okay, well, what did you do that warranted the slap?
I want to go to Italy so bad.
Well, I'm not going to tell you what I did, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Oh, really?
But it was a group of us Americans over there.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
How was the food?
I mean, if you like pizza, it's good.
I love pizza.
And we were drunk all the fucking time. And on our way to war, so it's like no stops or whatever. Pull out the stops.
Pull out all the stops.
Yeah, we were fucking
No
fudged.
holds barred.
We were fudged. Anyway, this beautiful guy with piercing black eyes, his name is Marcel Petiot. He was born January 17th, that is not right. I put 1987. What the fuck?
1897, probably.
Yeah.
Yes, that seems better. He was born He was born in 1887 in Ogre. He was remembered in school as a, quote, bright, precocious little boy with just a few peculiar hobbies, like catching baby birds and blinding them, end quote. That is from the Daily News.
I'd say that's peculiar.
He had a father and mother. The father, Felix, was a French postal service employee, and the mother at the time was customary for all the mothers there, was a housewife. Her name, or his name was Felix. Like fucking boring.
The husband?
Boring Felix. Her name
No
was...
one's named Felix anymore.
Felix Felicis.
Her name was...
Harry Potter.
Her name was Martha Marie Constance Josephine Bourdon.
Wow.
She has like 5 fucking names in there. All right, so this guy who we're talking about, Marcel Petiot, he's got a wholesale murder house, chopping up bodies, burning bodies. You'll see where there's one quote that I'm going to get to that said something to the effect, and I'll get to the actual quote because it's in here. None of the body parts found, which was up to the hundreds of people of dissected humans, none of the body parts equaled an entire human body.
Whoa.
So they were puzzling the pieces together and they couldn't do it. That is the guy we're talking about. This guy who looks completely normal. Completely normal. I mean, I would go out on a date with this dude. Piercing black eyes, green bicycle.
It's all about the bicycle.
Green's
baby.
an aphrodisiac, Jen.
What?
Green is an aphrodisiac.
Oh.
They ain't getting it.
I don't know that a
The color
can be...
green?
Or maybe that's pink.
I don't know
or
that
blue.
What are you talking
know if
about?
Fuck, I don't goddamn know,
I thought
motherfucker.
aphrodisiacs were only food. Like oysters or strawberries.
Oysters and chocolate and yeah.
Wine, apparently.
Our edible undies is an aphrodisiac. It probably would be.
I just feel like edible undies, like you're already at the point where you're going to like go that far. So like, I don't think that would qualify as an
But
aphrodisiac.
like pee on each other?
And no,
Nope. Not what she was referring to.
All right, so both parents were normal. I know it's crazy because this guy, freaking House of Horrors, worse than H.H. Holmes, which we haven't actually covered that story, but you guys know he would do all kinds of crazy torture shit.
Yeah, and he was the inspiration for the murder hotel season of American Horror Story.
This guy, completely normal family. No bullying, no hitting his head, no brain trauma, no sexual molestation as a child that I could find. Nothing. He was the oldest. He did have a younger brother, but the younger brother was normal. This guy was just, if Darwin talked about having a genetic mutation that's fucking psychopath, it is this guy right here. Completely narcissist for no reason at all. Mother, great mother. Not great, but normal, right? Discipline, normal. You fuck up at school, you get smacked on the boots. I don't know where he got this fucking streak of psychopathy and narcissism at. No one does. It's not available. It is, I think, sometimes like how evolution works or doesn't work or whatever, it just produces a faulty system. And this guy is just fucked from the beginning. He was extremely smart, read way above his levels, had an IQ of Einstein, 160 plus, very smart, skipped grades all the time, would talk to adults like adults would have talked to adults, you know, which got him in trouble a lot because you're a kid, you know, and you're talking to an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not acting like a kid. You're
Right.
you're talking at an adult level, which is intimidating, you know, or whatever. But he would talk over everyone and he would get in trouble a lot. Very bright kid, but extremely disruptive. Suspended a lot, expelled a lot. Expelled at least twice, if not 3 times from what I found. No respect for teachers or authority. He was a know-it-all. He knew everything. He knew more than the teachers anyway. And he knew that. So he was very disruptive. He was suspended from school on up to 10 different multiple occasions. He wasn't a bully at all, but no one hung around him. He was a lone wolf. He did things on his own. You wouldn't fuck with him. He wasn't a big kid, but even a big bully is not going to fuck with him because this is the guy, oh, okay. Oh, no, that hurts. Yeah. And then, when you shut your eyes at night, he's standing over you with a butcher knife or something. That is this kid. No one want to fuck with this kid because they knew he's fucking crazy, right? But he wasn't a bully. He just never cared for anyone's feelings at all. So if someone tried to talk to him and he didn't want to talk to him, he would tell him off and make him feel terrible about it. He just didn't care about your feelings. At 11 years old, he has his first sexual experience. He tried to coerce a female classmate for sex, but he was quickly caught. Now, these murders we're talking about tonight, he is not a sexual predator by any means. This was just something I found in there that I wanted to go over. All that he did that could be considered sexual, but killing 100 people is not really sexual. It's just he did it for other reasons, which we're going to get into. But the only sexual thing I saw in there was the peephole, the voyeurism, looking at the tortured victims. Because when you're in that tight room, he's going to gas you, right? Put some chlorine gas in there. So he wasn't a sexual predator, but he did have these little hiccups, like at 11. I did see one homosexual experience, but I think that was just growing up maybe in the time. I don't know. I mean, he was about the same age, same thing, try to coerce a male. But like I said...
I wonder if it was like just a power thing.
Maybe. I don't know. But like I said, we're not going to go down the sexual route because, it's not like David Parker Ray. This guy he didn't care. It's like he didn't care about sex. He would have sex when he was on horns and that was it. He's not addicted to it or whatever, like a Bundy. He was expelled the first time for bringing his dad's pistol to school. He actually he's been fighting with his teacher for a while. The teacher hated him. He was a know-it-all, disrupting class. And finally, Petiot, the young Petiot, 11 years old, says, you know what, fuck you, pulls out the pistol, bow, right in the fucking ceiling. And the tile in the ceiling. Whoa. Everyone's like, oh. He's like, yeah. When you fire a pistol in the air. So that was the first time he was expelled.
When he met up with a friend, the duo decided to reenact a circus performance that they fondly recalled, with the other boy placing himself against the classroom door as Marcel launched knives at him. Never striking, but always coming perilously close. He was quite offended to have been expelled from that school. If he had missed one of his throws, he could certainly have understood, but no damage was done except to the door.
And that quote's from the Ryan Green book, but that tells you his personality. How do you convince another kid to stand in front of the door and let you launch knives at him? That is the power he has as far as manipulation and stuff. Very crazy, And the fact that he was expelled for that, but he's like, why? Yeah, the door's damaged, but I didn't hit this kid. What the fuck? Why are you going to expel me? The father and mother, they didn't beat the shit out of him when he got expelled. They just were more embarrassed. They didn't know what to do. That he did get sent to multiple psychiatrists. He was prone. There's a couple things I did see that could explain some of this behavior. Multiple psychiatrists said he was, quote, prone to convulsions and spasms in the evening. He was a sleepwalker, and he did have a bladder control issue, which is bedwetting. And in some newspapers I saw of animal torture as far as the birds. He would blind birds and stuff like that. However, like that, the animal torture is more of a kid's thing. Okay, a lot of kids fucking burn ants with fucking magnifying glass and shit like that, So I don't think it was, as far as we're talking about like the McDonald triad type of thing where, Ted Bundy, tortured animals and shit like that. When he's 11, 12 years old, something big happened. He did have a big experience. The mother dies. Spanish flu took her. That was a thing, Spanish flu. Today we call it COVID. Mm-hmm. Or I call it RFID microchip.
So if you do have a microchip, you have it, or if you don't have a microchip, you have it.
And that's where iTunes bans us from their fucking platform. Now, the father was extremely devastated. He met his wife there in the little town that they lived in. So he moved 15 miles away, but he'll never be the same. He was devastated. And after that, his feelings towards his son, his oldest son, Marcel, would be different. Not of his fault of his own, because his son's always going to be a fuck up, but he just didn't have that spunk to life anymore, right? Now, the father leaves both Marcel and his younger brother, Maurice, with their aunt. Eventually, he'll come back to take him because the aunt couldn't take care of him because Marcel was just a complete nightmare in school. He was expelled multiple times, like I said. He started to feel like everyone was leaving him. So at 12 years old, your mother dies. I know it's kind of old, maybe 12 years old. This never happened to me, thank God, but if your mother dies at 12 years old and then your father leaves you with your aunt, I could imagine you would feel like everyone's leaving you. You know, your mother left you or whatever. So I can kind of see that. He started turning his emotions into crime right after his mother dies.
He's lashing out.
Lashing out, little stuff, mostly stealing. He becomes a kleptomaniac, which, as far as the MO, this is a huge part of his MO. He loves hoarding wealth. Anything he can steal, fraud, anything. He becomes a fucking mayor, if you can believe it. And the only reason he became the mayor...
Satan.
The only reason he becomes the mayor is so he can fraud the system.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Corruption in politics.
Yeah, he's probably the best politician ever. But anyway, he started stealing. He would break into mailboxes, he would steal letters and checks and stuff like that. Then he started getting arrested. 1914 hits. A psychiatrist said, and I put this for you to read. This is what a psychiatrist said, Jen.
And I'm normally used suffering from personal and hereditary problems.
You're slurring.
Which limits to a large degree his responsibility for his acts.
Okay, I'm going to translate that.
Right, an abnormal youth suffering from personal and hereditary problems, which limit to a large degree his responsibility for his acts.
That one worked.
All right, 1914. So he's in and out of the system, and he gets lost in the system because 1914. What happens? The quiz.
World War I.
What specifically happens to France in 1914?
They get
trounced again.
Germany declares war. All Europe is in arms.
Okay, so I know it's...
Have you heard? There's a rumor in St. Petersburg. It starts off in St. Petersburg.
What is that song?
That's from Anastasia.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I know 1914's... It goes by really quick, because here's basically what happens. Hitler, or not, no, this is pre-Hitler. This is World War I.
Franz Ferdinand.
The Germans go through...
Take me out.
The Germans go through Belgium, which they immediately put down their weapons and pick up waffles instead. And then they go through France, which they basically do the same thing. I'm just saying, man. What the fuck?
I mean, there's not really a military. Like, it's tiny. Belgium is a very, very small country.
Yeah, so y'all just fucking
tiny
lay down.
There were some major battles.
I'm telling you.
There were some major battles actually in World War I that were fought in Belgium. Ypres.
I know.
Is probably one of the biggest.
Dr. Satan here, Marcel Petiot, was on the Belgian-France front line.
Well, really? He's a war hero.
He is a
murderer.
He is a war hero. In fact, if you didn't know the whole story, which I'm going to tell you, if they wouldn't have found those bodies, this guy would have went down in history as a war hero.
Oh, well, I mean, just semantics. It's fine. You can just X that out of history.
Potato, potato.
Potato, potato. Tomato, tomato. Hey, Nicoise, what part of France is your family from?
I don't know exactly, but from what my grandmother said to me at one point was that we actually had roots in Belgium. in the French part of Belgium, which was cool. I didn't know that until after I went there. And I think it was the northern part of France near
Nietzsche?
in like the Burgundy area, like
I'm around
Nice.
Burgundy.
And then they emigrated to Canada.
Oh, very cool. Okay. I don't think I have any French in me, but I you know what? I'm struggling because I really want to know like the 23andMe / ancestry, but I really do not want to submit my DNA because I know that's ill-advised.
My sister did.
Oh.
So
you're screwed.
So I'm fucked. Yep, my sister did.
Way to go, Danielle.
Yep.
I don't need to.
Apparently, I've got some like surprise Italian. What was something new? I don't know.
I don't need to submit mine because I'm 100% goddamn American. God bless this goddamn country. Hell yeah. I'm 100% from Gilbert, South Carolina.
But Perry is a French name. You know that, right?
Fuck you.
No, I think it's English.
I will destroy you.
I think Perry is English, isn't it?
When God created Adam and Eve in America.
You don't know anything about when your family emigrated to America?
Oh, he's pulling out his Bible.
God created Adam and Eve in America.
Oh, that's the Mormon book. That you do realize that, correct?
What?
It's the Mormon.
I'm going to literally
religion.
murder you and
John
then doing
Smith?
a fucking episode.
Joseph Smith is the creator.
No, it's not. All right, so Marcel, he was a war hero, if you want to read
Marcel
this.
Lachelle.
Marcel was a war hero.
Marcel Lachelle.
So in 1914, at the age of 16, Marcel drafted into the military because France was going to, I don't know, fucking try
They were part of the Atlas powers.
the Atlas powers.
They were.
Okay, well, France did something, and this guy was... Actually, I shouldn't say that, because in this battle that he was... France was very pivotal in World War I in stopping the German advance. But then again, you don't have Hitler
Correct.
in World War... I mean, who was the fucking bad guy in World War I? We don't fucking know, right? Because there isn't one. Hitler...
Well, I mean,
was a
like, it was
fucking-
more of a group effort. There wasn't necessarily one specific person.
I know,
doing it.
but this is World War I. He was drafted in 1916 to stop the German invasion, and his unit did. In fact, he was on the front lines. This was infantry all the way, and he was taking a lot of casualties. He was wounded very badly with shrapnel, and none of his squad mates liked him at all, but they had to respect him because he could shoot a fucking German right between the eyes. Boom. Great shot. That's like me.
a marksman.
Yeah.
Weren't you like 1 point off of being like the best or something?
I was 2.
You were like Hawkeye.
How'd you know that?
I think you've said it before.
I was referring to Marvel's Hawkeye.
So anyway, he could shoot a fucking German right between the eyes. And the squad mates loved him for that. But he had a bloodlust, and that shit fucking got crazy overseas. Other soldiers would be getting shell-shocked with all the artillery and stuff and the advancement of the German troops. But he would forcefully go towards the enemy.
You know what? I had a very interesting conversation the other day. I promise it relates. One of my friends from work brought up the point that we should let criminals, like specifically murderers, be on the front lines as part of their sentence. Like
Sentence? That's fucking a vacation.
because
I would love that shit.
but no, I'm saying because they have this, like, because
Would
they
channel their...
inner
No, you don't want
whatever.
that, because then those same prisoners are going to go in the village and rape, and
I said you would need to contain them and make sure that they only were let
you're going
out.
to give them a fucking M16 or M4 and contain them.
I just said it was an interesting conversation.
It is an
I
interesting
didn't say
conversation.
that it
Okay.
was the best way to go, but it was. She said that, you know, not necessarily the serial killers, but like the people that had been, you know, maybe one murder or two. You know, not a serial. Serial is only when you reach 3. But like you let them go to the front line, because then it gives their life purpose, and they can use whatever it was that's wrong with them to go
the greater
and
good.
What's
for the greater
wrong
good.
with them? What the fuck? What was wrong with me? You're saying what's wrong with them?
You
No.
didn't
What do you think
murder
I was
people.
fucking doing? What
You
do you think
didn't-
we were fucking doing over there? giving high fives.
I think you're misinterpreting what she's saying.
You are
That
misinterpreting.
that is a very interesting and provocative thought.
So I have a question. What the hell was wrong with Germany in the 1900s? Like, why did they think that they could just control everyone? I don't really remember much about World War One, but like, what is it with Germany in the early 1900s?
Well, so German
the first
is
half of the 1900s.
Germans are they're from the superior stock.
So this is when it was technically Prussia,
right?
and it was an empire. And
Come on, history buff.
Franz Ferdinand, it was Austria. It was the Archduke Austria Hungary.
Yes.
And
What was he doing? What was Franz Ferdinand doing that he got shot? 'Cause I feel like it wasn't his fault.
No, but
Why? Because there's a fucking song about him?
tensions
No,
were
because
already,
it's a band. Number one, it is a band name. And number two, he's the one that got shot. So that's what started World War One.
It was like tensions were already high. I can't remember related to what at this point, but it was like the war was imminent, and then the assassination happened.
but-
and it was
Okay,
like,
move
But why
on,
do they
move the
feel like
fuck
they
on.
need to take over the world?
Because they're fucking Germans.
like
They're all like
Pinky and
that.
the Brain.
They're
It's like
all
a brain.
fucking like that, dude.
I'm not going to be able
What
to
are we
answer
doing
for you.
next time?
It's
We're
been
gonna
too
take over
long
the
since
world.
history class. I don't know.
Move on. Read.
I mean, Germany's okay now. They're like civilized now.
Are you
Oh,
fucking
God.
kidding me? Literally, both the world wars they started, and they're okay now. Why? Because
No, they haven't started any conflicts in over 50, 60, 70 years.
All right. I'm just gonna have y'all
Just
ignore
fucking-
that, and I'm gonna read. They had done the impossible. The unstoppable German advance had been halted. They were no longer even attempting to advance on French positions. It was incredible to see. Yet still Marcel did not stop. He took shot after shot into the still German beast as the enemy milled about seeking cover. If this was his opportunity to thin their numbers, then he was going to take that opportunity.
Yeah. See, not in World War One, but World War II, man, I would love to be in that war. Everyone wanted to be in that war. Fucking, you have this Darth Vader, coming in.
Mich ein, so wie ich werde dich eingereicht.
And
Style
it's
bad
like,
guy.
even the women in the United States were like, fuck it, what do we need to do? That's fucking cool. We all
Well, they
has
do that now.
fucking Taliban.
Well, women want to
pussies.
fight now, too. But I feel like, I think I said this
Okay,
last
moving on.
time.
All right, so he was drafted to fight, frontline soldier, and he was injured by artillery. He was blown up, and then he was gassed with chlorine until he passed out. He woke up in a field hospital, and he was discharged with 3 things from the military. Do you want to guess what those 3 things were? 1, a newfound bloodlust. 2, a military disability pension. And 3, and perhaps the more telling, is an intense addiction to morphine.
Interesting.
And how do you so all right, you're this super smart guy that is kind of a war hero now. You're a veteran that is completely fucked in the head, and you're addicted to morphine. How do you get a steady supply of morphine?
By becoming a doctor.
By becoming a fucking doctor. And
Wow,
this
he
is
looks different in that picture
this
than the
is his,
first one.
Yeah.
this is his doctor card.
You know what? He kind of oddly, similarly resembles Bryan Cranston. No, not
Are
Bryan
you
Cranston.
fucking high?
Azaria. Hank Azaria.
I see
Who
that
the
more.
fuck are you talking about? You just name dropping like you know these people.
I don't know them personally, but I know who they are.
Oh, did you see the? Never mind.
But
So
I do.
if you-
but
if you-
how do we know that his bloodlust was newfound? If he volunteered to go to the war and they said that he was a strange
Because
child.
he was fucking 16 years old. How many people did you kill at 16?
But
I'm not saying-
he was troubled before then with the whole
That's what I'm
knives
saying.
and the
That's what I'm
bringing
saying.
epistle school.
All right, let's get this episode over.
But he does look like Hank Azaria.
He graduated medical school in Paris, December 15th, 1921. Immediately, he opened his own shop, which all the older doctors hated because he used these crazy marketing techniques and fake testimonials and stuff like that. And he also ran a pill farm and also a backdoor abortion clinic, which at the time abortions were illegal. So he opened a shop in the town of Villeneuve-sur-Yonne. He also started committing fraud. I mean, obviously he was doing that from when his mom died, but he's doing stuff like double billing patients. He would take your payment and then bill the insurance. Shit that our doctors do today, right?
Right.
And he would do other stuff like hike up the morphine because he was a pill farm. You would come get underground morphine. He would hike up the price, right?
Have you guys seen Dope Sick?
Not only that, he had a steady stream of victims at this point. This is when he first starts to kill because women came in and got abortions. And then they're like, oh, you know what? Oh, I thought I had money, but I don't. And he's like, okay, there's two things that can happen now. You can pay by having sex with me, or you can end up in the local river. So, and he didn't obviously present that to them, but those were the options that he gave them. So at this point, now we don't know who the first person he killed was, but there were women that were showing up in suitcases in the local river. So if they threatened to expose him, which he would lose his medical license for giving backdoor abortions, they end up going missing. The first one that we think was Louis Devaux, which may be one of the first victims. They were actually dating at one point. She left completely missing. No one knows where she went. They questioned Marcel. He was, as a narcissist does, was very convincing that he didn't know anything about it. They were dating, but yada yada yada. Anyway, later when he becomes mayor, one of the first things he has to do as mayor is figure out who put Louis Devaux, her body, in a suitcase that came floating up to the shore. And it was him, obviously, so he just kind of blew it off. Now, as Hitler approached, this is during the Second World War, Dreyfus, now he's just one. He is a silhouette for all these other victims, right? They all went the same path. Now, this path is different. You remember the path of the first Marcel was a little different. He did the medical practice and stuff like that. And I guess we really didn't talk too much about it, but he wasn't killing Jews for this reason. As I said, he's an equal opportunity person, so he's going to go where the money's at. Anyway, this is Yvon Dreyfus, extremely wealthy French Jew. Hitler approaches. He is worried that he is about to... He says he's already marked. If you want to read this is from The Independent.
He would suggest to a patient or acquaintance that if they wanted to get out of France and away to the freedom and safety of South America, he was in contact with people who could help. His victims were generally Jewish, but they included resistors and even gangsters with names like Joe Le Boxer or François de la Course. When they fell for the bait, he told them to come alone that same night with a suitcase containing all of their valuables to a rendezvous in central Paris after the curfew. He would then take them back to the deserted Hôtel des Particuliers and murder them, almost certainly by giving them a cyanide injection on the pretext that they had to be vaccinated for the trip.
Now, the whole time in the trial, he would deny all of this, but the evidence is there.
It almost makes you cautious about these vaccines these days.
Oh, God, I'm not going there.
I mean, this is coming from someone who just received their booster shot last week.
Booster shot, the subscription service for fucking COVID.
Let's keep going, please.
A subscription service.
Oh, I did. I just got boosted a couple of weeks ago.
Boosted
last week.
Fucking. All right. So this is at the hotel. Now this is kind of fucked. This is the triangle room right here. This is a sealed room. The photo right there on the left that you're seeing. Very small room. You see there's no door handle on the inside. It's shaped like a triangle. And on the outside of the wall, there's that peephole that we talked about last time. Now, here's the MO. So this is just talking about the Jewish murders. Like Dreyfus would come in very quietly, under the guise of, I need to get my arthritis taken care of or whatever. But they knew why they were there. Okay, did you bring money? You don't have to... And they're actually really grateful because they thought they would have to give them a lot of money. But for some reason, Marcel didn't ask for much money, just a very small fee. And he was going to allow these Jews to take most of the money with them on their trip because they have to start a new life, in fucking Bolivia. I mean, that's why these these victims were so grateful when they were in his presence. Oh my God, I can't believe you were such a saint. Thank you so much. You know, all this stuff. You're allowing me to take some of my wealth with me. And in the long run, he's just going to take it anyway. But so anyway, they would come in there, they would get the vaccine shot, whatever he said, to cure the Spanish flu or whatever, to prevent that. It was cyanide from what the police thought, but obviously you can't actually tell because he claims he's never done this to anyone except Gestapo.
Right.
Right. But so they don't actually know what it was, but it's most likely cyanide, which he could get access to being a doctor. He would give them the injection, and then he had a little bell under his desk, and he would hit it. This little bell, like dink, and it would make the front door bell ring. Okay. Now this is the guys. He'd hit it, and as soon as he gets a shot, and the front doorbell would ring, and he would be like, "Oh, go quick, hide in here." He'd shove them into this triangle room
To make them think the Gestapo's
yeah,
coming.
to make them think the Gestapo's at the door. So this room right here is kind of sealed off. If you see, it looks like the wall kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it literally looks like the wall. I think there's like a painting over it or something. So he'd shuffle them in here, and knowing good and damn well that no one's at the door. Then he would go to this little peephole that you're seeing on the screen. I'll put these photos on talkmore.com. And then he'd have this is fucked, but if you look at the very right picture, this is in his consultation room, which is right by the triangle room.
Right.
The consultation room. What they're holding in their hand is a gas mask. He would, this is really fucked, babe, you're going to hate me. He would put him in this triangle room and then gas him and watch while he himself was wearing a gas mask. He'd watch through this peephole.
Can you tell in that first picture? Look, there's a person in there. Can you see that?
Yeah, I didn't notice that before. Yeah, you see how tight it is in there. He would gas him and then he would watch him die. That's what the peephole was for.
That's terrible.
So, I mean, at the time, and no one knew at this time, no one knew that Hitler had all these concentration camps. Obviously they did, but the public didn't.
Right.
This guy didn't know that they were doing this to the Jewish.
He was just as fucked up.
He was just doing that just to do it, which is fucked. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, if you want to read this.
In the Rue Le Sueur, there was a sealed triangular room behind a secret door which led directly off the consulting room. It is thought that after giving his victims the injection, Dr. Petiot would press a hidden button which made the front door bell ring. He would then tell the startled fugitive to hide in the triangular room while he went to see who it was. Instead, he would peer into the triangular room through a spy hole and watch the death agony. The perfect murder 63 times.
So let me ask you something. These are wealthy, the wealthy of the wealthiest Jews. And there are quite a bit of these underground resistance escape networks. What would make one of such wealth come to Dr. Marcel over another underground tunnel group?
Well, knowing that he is of high status himself.
People trust doctors.
And knowing that he, not just the fact that he's a doctor, but he could have like paid off the Gestapo with his wealth to kind of like have them look the other way, maybe.
But there were a lot of French doctors who were paid off by the Gestapo. There were a lot of doctors paid off by the Gestapo to turn in their clients. But there's a specific reason that he actually was so well trusted. Now, this is from a paper, the 24th of March, 1946, right here, the Tribune. If you want to read this, this is about him on trial.
Petiot now says he aided Spain. Doctor claims help to Loyalist Party. One held Nazi spy. Police Inspector Marcel Petiot admitted under cross-examination that one of the persons whose murder Petiot was charged with, Ivan Dreyfus, a wealthy Jew, had been a stool pigeon for the Gestapo, as Petiot claimed. Petiot said Dreyfus turned him in to the Germans.
So that guy Dreyfus is just one of the examples. He is claiming, because, all right, at the trial, it's like, okay, you killed a lot of Jewish people under the guise of helping them. Well, no, they were all stool pigeons, which a stool pigeon is someone working for the Gestapo, right? A traitor.
Like a double agent or whatever.
Not a double agent, but someone that is feeding information. So a stool pigeon is the term that they use for that. I saw that a lot, stool pigeon. He's like he's feeding information to, the enemy and not the allies type of thing.
Right.
I'm going to tell you one word, Jen, and tell me what you think of this word. Okay. Fly, Fly -TOX, fly talks. What does that bring to mind? Just hearing it without context of this episode, just what would you think of fly talks?
Fly talks.
Yeah.
I feel like it's someone who's like something about like a toxicity and flying. Like maybe like someone who has who is disease flying out, or maybe.
Well, don't think about it as far as anything, even with Germany or whatever, France. Just think about the word fly talks.
Fly talks. I don't have an answer then. I don't know. Something about toxicity and flying.
You got anything?
I was going to say something about toxins too.
Okay. Fly talks, fly-talks, FLY-talks, was what the Gestapo was hunting down for several years. This was the underground network, the name of the underground network that Marcel Petiot was in charge of. Now, this is going to show you...
quote unquote, it's a fake organization?
No, it's a real organization. Fly Talks is where you go to get smuggled out of France.
Okay.
So, and
they just
Marcel Petiot was the head of the Fly Talks organization. But he went by the name Dr. Eugene. But that's what the Gestapo knew. It's like a Breaking Bad thing, like Heisenberg. Like, who is this Dr. Eugene?
So this guy,
this is the network.
He went along with like, oh yeah, I'm a member of the Resistance, and
I'm the head of Fly Talks.
I'm the head
of the biggest underground tunnel network.
That's what he said, but he didn't actually
never actually did anything.
But
got it.
But
He's
no.
a piece of trash.
The reason I wanted you to think of the word is because this will sum up the guy 100%. You guys will not fucking believe this. I'll put this on talkmurder.com. This is fucking nuts. Fly Talks was the smuggle network that he was the head of. However, he didn't just make that name up. This is from a paper from 1925, the Dayton Daily News. It's also a pest insecticide. Send coupon for trial bottle. Get acquainted with Fly Talks. A marvelous discovery. Kills flies, mosquitoes, moths, etc. Will not stain, easy to use, has pleasant odor. He named his escape network after a fucking pesticide.
That's terrible.
Fuck. And it's fucking nuts. Right?
It says a lot.
Yeah.
There's
he
a lot
wasn't helping anybody escape. It was right in the name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was so brazen. It was right in the fucking name. Because he ended up gassing a lot of these people anyway. So it's
just like a fucking mosquito bomb.
Jesus.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
This paper is from the Dayton Daily News, 13
and he's
July.
like probably laughing at it. Like people like Fly Talk. She's probably getting a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know. I mean, it's just
He
fucked
thinks
up.
She's so clever.
Fly Talks.
Yeah, that's probably what he's thinking.
If Fly Talks back then is what DDT is now, you know, DDT is banned, is like super strong. That's what Fly Talks was back in the day. Very strong, could kill humans. Probably did use it on humans, I would imagine.
Isn't DDT Agent Orange? Or is that
I don't
two
know.
different things?
Fuck, I don't know. I think that's two different things. We wouldn't be shooting Agent Orange in our plants.
Oh, yeah.
Agent Orange is like nerve gas. I don't know. Fuck. Now, the Gestapo, like I talked about, they were looking for this network, the Fly Talks network. They had no idea it was just named after an insecticide. Fucking crazy, right?
Mm.
You guys like this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. At trial, he would say, quote, that he had several men working for him. My men, Petiot said with an air of fatherly pride, would track and identify an informer and then bundle him into a truck and take him to a convenient, quiet spot, they would shoot a stool pigeon and then throw his body into the drainage ditches, end quote. However, his men never did any of that. He was just dumping the remains in the ditches. But the people working for him, they thought he was a god because they thought the people working for him thought that he was doing this. Who was getting these clients for him? He had a whole staff of people going to get these clients. So all these people thinking he's like this god for getting everyone out, all the Jews out of Paris. Like these Jewish people working for him would go and get clients to come to him. The whole time they thought they were being funneled out to fucking Bolivia. And instead they're being thrown in the fucking river. Fucking nuts. Nuts. Here's how he got so trusted, right? When Germany invades France, they use the French soldiers, which may say a lot about France. I'm just saying. A lot of the French soldiers would become servants for the German troops. They'd be on the front lines. The French soldiers would do stuff like, I don't know, take out the trash or get, whatever on the front lines. A lot of them would get shot. They're most likely used as human shields, I'd imagine. Mm-hmm. Whatever, they get injured. Germany would pay doctors in Paris to fix them up so they can get back on the front lines. Okay. Guess who was paid by Germany to fix up these French guys? His own people. Remember, Marcel is also French. His own people would come to him and he would get paid by Germany to fix these guys up so they can go back to fight. That's one source of revenue. He would also get information out of these French fighters for the German and sell that information to the Allies, which is another form of fucking revenue, right? This guy's making a lot of money working for whoever the fuck he wants to work for. In March 1943, he gets the ultimate credibility. He's arrested by the Gestapo. Now, he is a god at this point, like a Heisenberg from Breaking Bad, right? Like, everyone's like, who is this guy? He's getting all these Jews out of France. Who is this guy? March 1943, he gets arrested by the Gestapo for 8 months. 8 months. Now, everyone sees him getting dragged off because they think he's the guy.
They think he's a hero.
They think he's the guy. The Gestapo's like, this is the guy funneling Jews out of France. We got him, finally. 8 months, they tortured him. They starved him. They locked him up. They beat the shit out of him. He didn't say a word. He denied everything. They let him go after 8 months. Everyone after that's like, oh shit, this guy's legit. He didn't say a damn thing. This is obviously the guy that's going to help me get out of France. Okay. And that's where like this paper comes in.
Story of wholesale murder called a Gestapo hoax. French newspaper says Germans endeavored to discredit anti-Nazi underground leader. The Ogre of Paris.
A myth.
So, and when the Germans end up raiding his office, remember, so he wouldn't take initial patients at his big mansion office. He would take in that small satellite office and then funnel the ones he thinks he could kill over to his bigger property. So when they raided his satellite office, they didn't find anything. They just thought he was some old man that's senile. He would say all these war stories about how he's killing Gestapos and stuff like this, but they just thought he was a crazy old man, right? Crazy old man doesn't know what he's talking about because they didn't find any evidence and he wouldn't talk. 8 months they tortured the shit out of him. He didn't know anything, Once he got out of prison is when he got extremely rich, because if you have a wealthy Jewish person, maybe it's the last of the family, like Dreyfus or whatever, they're taking everything they have with them that is valuable, money, jewelry, gold, like everything, because they're not coming back. Everything that is worth taking, they're taking.
Right.
That is all funneling to his pockets. You know what I'm saying? Fucking nuts, right? This is in the...
Oh, that's a lot of people.
Jesus Christ.
I don't like that.
This is in the courtyard. This is them digging up bodies. There was a lot of bodies they dug up. One of the papers said, quote, of all the body parts recovered, and I put a note in here that said, this is fucked. Quote, of all the body parts recovered, none comprised the full sum of parts required to make a whole person, end quote.
That's wild.
Holy fuck.
So there were upwards of, well, he's saying it had to have been at least 63.
Oh yeah, there were hundreds. I mean, he's been killing for a long time. I don't know how many there were. They found 48 suitcases, so at least 48. But he was also shipping those suitcases and disposing them. I mean, the audacity of doing this, you know, in that house and burning, it's just fucking crazy. I don't know. If you want to read this.
A family of 3 German Jewish refugees, the Knellers, were discovered with all of their dismembered parts mixed together.
Ugh.
Quicklime and fire had handled the majority of the victims that had come into Marcel's care, with the later drops in the river mostly comprising nothing but the leftovers he could not fit into either the furnace or the pit.
The furnace or the pit.
I don't like that they call it the leftovers.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
It's crazy. One paper described it as a for-profit Holocaust. I mean, dude, he would kill his own people. He killed Gestapo. He would kill his own fucking mother if he could make money from it. I mean, this guy, no wonder they call him Dr. Satan. I think he's worse than Hitler. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but I mean,
He's bad.
Yeah.
Hitler had a target.
He's definitely Dr.
This
Satan.
guy has no remorse whatsoever. I don't know.
Hitler didn't either, but
Anyway,
you can't compare.
yeah, you can't compare. Anyway, the last episode we talked about the beheading under the guillotine. I think you guys got enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was his fate on May 25th, 1946. A lot of people were happy to see his head get chopped. I mean, he the whole time denied it, said he was actually a hero. He was killing Gestapo. They did find 3 Gestapo body or some of the bodies.
Yeah, 3 out of 63 or Gestapo.
I know. Fucking nuts.
I mean, if they were all Gestapo, different, I'd be singing a different tune, but nope.
It's not like he was an Inglorious Bastard.
Exactly.
So let me ask you: does he earn the name Dr. Satan?
I would say,
I think so.
Shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff I didn't get into, but I think we're pretty much done. I mean, that's pretty much him. He's a for-profit kind of guy. I mean, he was mayor at one point just to...
Mayor?
Yeah, he became mayor just to scam the system out of taxes, and he would basically pocket all the taxes. When he was a doctor, they said something like and he was making a lot of money. Out of his yearly reporting income, he reported like 25,000 francs or whatever, and it turned out he was making like 500,000. So just frauding, just simple stuff, man. He just hoarded this wealth. I don't know. Fucking nuts, man. But I don't think we can take any more of this. Poor Nicole. What do you think? What would you say to this guy if you met him?
She wouldn't say anything. She would just go at him with a knife, probably.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Holy shit.
He doesn't deserve any words, so.
I mean, he can't be worse than Mengele or anything.
You can't compare. He's just a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you something. This is kind of a weird question, but is it fucked up that, I'm not saying we did this, we probably did. Let's say like Mengele did all the experiments on Jews, right? He would do stuff like he would sew twins together. I mean, he would just do all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
And he also was he wrote down everything, a very well documenter of everything. Is it morally ethical for, let's say, the United States to use his research to our benefit, even though that research was done off torturing people? Like, let's say, for instance, he would put people in big tanks of water and see how long they can hold their breath and stuff like that. And we could use that information instead of actually putting someone through that. And the information's already done. So can we, is it ethical to do that? Or should we just fucking trash the whole files?
I would say it's only ethical if the research was done for the benefit of mankind instead of torturing them just to see what would happen.
But some of it, like the chemicals, for instance, the chemicals, the electroshock therapy, stuff like that. We could use that research, and the only way to really know that yourself is to conduct the research, and conducting it on animals isn't really the same. So we have all the research right there. Can we just
But it's not ethical because the humans that research was tested on were not consenting individuals.
I was just wondering what your thoughts were.
I don't know. So
It's a hard question because you're right. Like we don't. Would it be better if we don't have to put someone through it? But at the same time, I don't think it's ethical. Like necessarily.
While it's
Tia says trash it. That's awful.
Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say it's necessarily ethical, but at the same time,
What if it could save lives?
I was gonna say I don't think that line has actually been drawn with research. And and then where do you actually draw that line? Because I'm thinking about the Bob's Burgers episode
What the fuck?
with it was it Edison and Flopsy, the elephant. Topsy, not Flopsy. Topsy the elephant, like an elephant died from his research about electricity.
Oh yeah.
That's
Benjamin Franklin's.
No, it wasn't. It was Edison.
Edison's elephant. Yeah.
So that whole like there are a lot of experiments and shit that have been done in history that we have still used and learned from, even though.
What about diseases?
Like you could say animal testing, like all of that shit. You can argue till you're blue in the face about it not being ethical or
so
whatever.
you think we should use it?
I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying that we already do. So I think it's kind of a moot point.
I need to know if it's ethical from what your opinion. Let's take cancer. Let's say Mengele solved cancer. He completely eradicated cancer.
All right. Well,
should we use that on our people, or is that fucked up? I feel like we're saying
lovely people.
I feel like we're saying goodbye to our best friends.
Thanks for listening. Talk murder to me.
Thanks, guys. I hope you have a nice Saturday and Sunday night or whatever. I hope you guys stay safe, man. The world's crazy out there. Try to just be happy. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's it for us. So until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.